It's 1907. A young Adolf Hitler is sitting by his mother's corpse, his eyes filled with tears. His mother had just lost the fight to cancer after weeks of suffering. Her misery was very painful to young Adolf. Dr. Bloch, a Jewish doctor, was in charge of her treatment, came over to sign the death certificate. Hitler expressed his gratitude, thanking him for everything he had done for his mother, and for giving him a break on the medical bills.
Less than 40 years later, the same man took his own life after killing 6 million Jews and orchestrating the deadliest war in modern history. How does the same sensitive boy, crying over his dead mother, thanking a Jewish doctor, become the most evil man to ever live? To figure this out, we first have to understand Hitler, not just as a dictator, but as a human. The story begins with this man right here, his father. Alois was born to a servant girl. He doesn't have a father. He lives in poverty. There are rumors about him that his father was Jewish. At school they mock him and bully him for it. He hates that. He can't stand the idea that his father might have been a Jew. His childhood is painful, and his adulthood isn't much different. He married 3 times. His first 2 wives passed away. His third wife, Adolf's mother, was his niece. His pain made him a bitter and cruel man. He beat Adolf with a whip daily. He envied him. After all, he was a talented boy, living in a middle-class family. Alois would call Adolf by whistling at him, like how you would call a dog. The only person who showed compassion to Hitler was his mother, Clara. Clara was also beat by Alois. Before Adolf was born, she had lost 3 of her children. As a kid, Adolf read about a brave man who showed no signs of pain. He decided he would embody that. He was proud to take hits from his dad. He used it as competition against himself. He would try to see how many times he could get hit before crying. Claire was the only one who believed in him. She was kind and protective of Adolf. She was also the only one who believed in his dream. He wanted to be a painter. His father didn't like that. Adolf grew an obsession. He was passionate. The obsession grew as if to prove his father wrong. But while his life had been difficult up to that point, 1903 symbolized a much darker turn. It started with the passing of his father. Maybe it gave him some relief, but losing a parent is always difficult. A few years later, he traveled to Vienna. He took an exam for the Academy of Fine Arts. His whole life had been building up to this exam. He failed it. His mother was dying of cancer, so he traveled back home to be with her. He didn't tell her he failed the exam. She passed away. He was crushed and broken, but he decided to take the art exam again. And again, he was rejected. They said his portfolio was too weak. In just a few years, he lost his father, his mother, the only source of kindness in his life, the only one who once believed in him, and he lost his dream, the one thing that helped him go through childhood. And now, he's 20 years old, broke, grieving, and homeless. The next few years were hard, grueling even. World War I had started. Hitler served through the war. He was still a nobody, but he grew a lot through that war. He was exposed to new philosophies and ideologies. By the time the war was over, Adolf was no longer a boy, but he had started becoming Hitler. October 1918. Hitler is laying in the hospital. He was temporarily blinded by a British gas attack. Laying on the hospital bed, he receives the devastating news that Germany had lost the war. He experienced a wave of grief, a familiar feeling to what he experienced when he lost his mother. His fate became known to him in that moment. Right then and there in the hospital, he decided he wanted to be the person making a difference. He wanted to save Germany. So he decided to go into politics. He returned home. It didn't look much like it. Most of the city was in rubble, the consequence of the war. A few months go by, and now he's appointed as an intelligence agent. As a soldier, he's assigned to influence other soldiers and infiltrate small political parties. In this time frame, he was trained as a propagandist. His job was to encourage nationalism and anti-communism. He found his gift for persuading in the military, and they pushed that as far as they could. It's now 1919. Hitler's at a German Workers' Party meeting. He was invited as the main speaker. He's giving his talk. People seem intrigued, they are interested. Hitler's talk is centered around the Jews. He believes they are the reason for Germany's problems, for them losing the war. Drexler is impressed. He's the leader of the party, and he appoints Hitler as the 555th member. They numbered the party members starting from 500 to make the party look bigger than it did. This German Workers' Party, in just a few years, will become globally known as the Nazi Party. Finally, a man shaped by powerlessness, who spent his whole life being told he was nothing, a failed son, a failed artist, a failed student, a homeless boy. Finally, this man walks into a room, opens his mouth, and people are listening. Finally, he has become Adolf Hitler. Heroes and villains always have the same backstory: pain. The difference is what they do about it. A villain says, "The world hurt me, I'm going to hurt it back." A hero says, "The world hurt me, I'm not going to let it hurt anyone else." Heroes use pain, villains are used by it. But then there's Hitler. The world hurt him, and he used it to cause more pain and suffering than any other person in history. What if deep down he truly believed that the world hurt him and he needed to make actions in order for the world not to hurt anyone else? I know this is an uncomfortable question. A part of me is defending the actions of Adolf Hitler. He, of course, was wrong. I am a Jew myself, and I know as much as anyone else the misery he has caused tens of millions of families, mine included. But what if April 2018, Avengers Infinity War is released. Thanos snaps his fingers, half the population of the universe is destroyed. Many critics and fans regarded Thanos as one of the greatest villains in movie history, and for a good reason. Thanos saw a real problem. The universe was running out of resources. He believed that deep down that by erasing half the universe, the other half would thrive. He didn't cause pain just because he wanted to. He caused pain because he believed it was a consequence of making the universe a better place for everyone else. That's why he's such a great villain. He has a very strong motive behind his actions and decisions. To a certain degree, you can almost understand him just a little bit. Even though you know he's wrong, but he makes you feel uncomfortable because you know that maybe he's a little right. He was oblivious, of course. He didn't understand that you can't erase pain by causing more of it. Hitler isn't much different. Germany was collapsing after the war. The economy had crashed and it destroyed the country. People could barely afford bread. He believed that if he cleansed the world, whoever was left could thrive. The key difference between Thanos and Hitler is that Thanos acted purely on population control, no matter the race or origins. Hitler, of course, saw superiority between people. He believed that certain groups of people, specifically the Jewish people, were not just using resources, but were the ones actually causing the problem. In that way, he's obviously wrong, but for him, he believed that's what he needed to do. He too didn't understand that wasn't the answer. He saw low ranking life as a cost that needed to be paid so the high ranking life could thrive. Evil is based on the eye of the beholder. We see a man like Hitler and we know he is evil. But if you truly believe something, are you ever wrong for that? He didn't see himself as evil. He saw himself as a savior, and that was his greatest mistake. Believing that he was, with his agenda, the right person to make the world a better place.